background, helping them get better at sales or customer service or troubleshooting or something like that. One of the other huge things that's going on is that people are just going to be interacting with pure pieces of technology more and more. We talk about it in the book. It's a phenomenon that we call virtualization, that in lots of business processes these days, the only human being involved is the customer. That's probably going to accelerate as we get more and more powerful AI to take more and more steps over from people right now.
And I would just add one other thing, which is I think we're entering an era of mass personalization as well, and the machines can help a lot with that, giving custom solutions in a way that you couldn't have before, because the machines can understand your needs and understand what the capabilities of the company are and match those in a much more detailed way than we used to be able to.
So the Amazon recommendation engine, for example, is a huge, high volume, mass customized, mass personalized experience. We're going to see a lot more of that going forward.
What else?
This is from Alexandra, and she's asking if you could give some more examples of how companies can monetize AI.
Pick a problem that's vexing you or an opportunity that's out there. Is it data rich? Is it amenable? Is it perceptual? Is it cognition? Is it pattern recognition? Is it communication? If your problems fall into those domains, and those are really, really broad domains, then you have a machine learning toolkit today, in many cases available via the cloud. You have an army of geeks out there that are available via resources like Kaggle and Topcoder and these other crowdsourced machine learning capability sites out there. The tools are there. Pick a problem and go to work on it. The journey starts when you pick a problem and you start to learn how to actually use this new tool.
And the thing to look for that's been especially powerful the past few years is mapping from A to B, mapping from an image into a label, or mapping from some voice recognition into what the words are, or mapping from credit record into a yes-no decision. These kinds of mapping from A to B, there are lots and lots of opportunities in them. Some of them are these big billion-dollar ones. There are lots of smaller ones. In the article in the book, we describe this in a little bit more detail, but this is the kind of thing to look for, this kind of mapping from one to the other. That's where the big successes have been over the past 5 years.
And already today, you don't need to buy a supercomputer and try to build your own machine learning software. That stuff is available, very, very good quality, available via the cloud. It's great to have machine learning talent in-house. You don't need to have all the machine learning talent in-house. There are all these resources where you can find extremely talented machine learning specialists out there for hire over the web.
Yeah, so it gets to this other point we wanted to get to about how to get started. And so there are tools like TensorFlow that you can use off the shelf. There are courses like Fast AI taught by our friend Jeremy Howard, or the Udacity courses. There are cloud-based data repositories in the Amazon cloud, the Google cloud. So these pieces are things we don't need to go out and spend thousands or millions of dollars. You can use these as a service. Many of them are literally free. So the startup cost can be quite low.
And some of what's going on with machine learning these days honestly does look like science fiction. It's becoming a crazy world. We think the right way to approach it as an organization is not to say, oh my, how are we going to get into this weird sci-fi world and go live on Mars? This is another chapter in the story of using data, using analysis, using evidence, becoming more data-driven as an organization. A lot of us have read the book Moneyball. You know, baseball started getting geeky and very evidence-driven a couple decades ago. What Eric and I think is going on, and it's going to accelerate, is the moneyballing of the business world, simply because more evidence-driven decisions, which are more capable now with machine learning, are better decisions. And if your competition is making better decisions than you are, you're in a lot of trouble.
So let's give us a couple more questions. We're winding down to the end of our time here, but why don't you give us a couple of questions and we'll try and hit them real fast.
Yes, I'm thinking two more. Does that sound good? Okay, two more. So we're getting a few questions about IBM Watson.
Yep.
What do you think about it? Who are the leaders in the field? Any recommendations?
The small handful of companies that you hear about when you think about machine learning capability and the ability to go rent it or buy it for yourself, the names that kept coming up, and we include some of them in the article, are Amazon will sell this to you, Google will sell or rent this to you, Microsoft will sell or rent this to you, IBM will. Will Baidu yet?
I don't know, not in the United States, I don't think. But Yeah, so those come up over and over, and then there are the smaller
will
ones.
do it, right?
Yeah, and IBM is in that. IBM, I think they often use Watson as kind of an umbrella for a whole bunch of different types of AI capabilities. Some of them used in medical care, some of them in legal. We had some students who worked in the financial services industry to help sift through all the regulations, the Dodd-Frank regulations, and Watson helped them sort through those.
But the good news is, whenever there's vicious competition among great big tech companies, we all benefit, because what that means is you have access to these very powerful tools at lower and lower price points. What's going on with machine learning is exactly the same thing that has been going on for about a decade with the cloud, where the resources that we can all tap into are higher quality and lower cost very, very quickly.
Next.
All right, last question.
All right, last question. I'm saving one that often comes up for the end about jobs taking over. So Sashid is asking, should we be worried about robots taking over all our jobs and dominating the human race?
Wow,
There's one to end on. You start.
We do worry about what the effects are going to be in the economy. And just speaking for myself, I think this is the biggest challenge for our society over the next 10 years is how is artificial intelligence and related technologies going to fundamentally restructure the economy? And are we going to get in front of it and make sure we create not just prosperity and billionaires, but also shared prosperity for the many that we can share in? I don't think, the way the question was phrased, take all the jobs, certainly not. In fact, there are more jobs being created every year.
Right.
But there is a real challenge in terms of income inequality.
Right.
A lot of people aren't keeping up. In fact, the bottom half of the income distribution hasn't shared at all in this bounty that we've created in the United States, and it's similar in other countries. So it's a challenge, and I would say it doesn't happen automatically that we create shared prosperity. We have to do things like the Inclusive Innovation Challenge we talked earlier, new government policies that rethink education. We talked about that a little bit. Boost entrepreneurship to help invent the new jobs. There are things we can do if we handle it right. It can and should be the best thing that ever happened to all of us, but I don't think it's going to be automatic.
That's exactly right. And Eric said something fundamental. We are still creating jobs month by month in America and lots of other countries. There's no evidence that we're heading into this period of massive technological unemployment caused by AI or anything else. The challenge is that the sweet spot of job creation has moved down a little bit. And whereas it used to create lots of great solid middle class jobs, now it's creating lots of more lower middle class jobs, lower paid, more precarious, fewer benefits. This is the challenge. It's an addressable challenge, but that's the challenge to focus on. So we try to be clear about that. And then personally, I am really, really tired of the, oh my heavens, haven't we just created Skynet? Have we summoning the demon? Is the Terminator going to come and get us? I want to be clear, and I won't speak for Eric on this. No, that's not what's happening. The progress that we're seeing with AI, in my view, is existentially trivial and economically incredibly important.
Yeah, so that is the challenge to focus on right now is the job and economic challenge. And to wrap up this chat, and it's the same way we wrapped up the article, let me just say, I don't think that AI is going to take over all the jobs of managers. AI is not going to replace managers, but managers that work with AI will replace managers who aren't working with AI.
Amen.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for joining us. This was fun.